everybody to Survive and Advance on the Grueling True Sports Network. I'm your co-host, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I want to welcome in my other co-host, who is known as maybe the foremost authority and historian on keeping up with the Kardashians, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Doing great, Mike.
I know you had to like that because I know you love you some Kardashians.
Sure.
Oh, so you don't?
Oh,
You don't
no,
so.
I mean, I'm just heartbroken because I thought for sure I'd get an invitation to their house for a Thanksgiving dinner, but it didn't come. So
did it burn down?
No, hell no.
That's a shame.
They got so many homes where they wouldn't burn down anyway.
Yeah, but if it would have burnt down, then it would have gave you a reason at least why you didn't get invited. All right, so we're going to start off with the college football playoff rankings, which are in last night. Of course, number 1, Alabama, number 2, Clemson, 3, Notre Dame, 4, Michigan, 5, Georgia, 6, Oklahoma. My question is this, Steve. Why in the hell is LSU still ranked up here ahead of teams?
I was going to ask you that same question. Yeah, I looked at why it's with 2 losses, are they ranked ahead of UCF and Washington State, and for that matter, really even Ohio State?
Yeah, and the only way I can answer that is the show we did a couple weeks ago. SEC bias. I mean,
SEC bias.
It's all it can be. I mean, because when I look at it, I think you've got 6, 7, 8, 9 teams with a legitimate chance still. I think once you get to 11 and on down, those teams are cooked. I think LSU has to be cooked. I mean, how can you put LSU in with 2 losses? They're not going to play in the SEC championship game, and they don't really have anything else outstanding out there. So I don't even know why you would waste your breath putting it 7. To me, they belong at number 11.
Well, but is this whole thing, this whole ranking from the CFP is supposed to be more analytical based on strength of schedule, opponents' records. Well, that would be the reason LSU would be 7 because they play in the SEC, so they're theoretically playing higher-ranked teams than, say, Washington State is or UCF.
Yeah, but
that's the logical answer, but that's the fallacy of the whole program.
Well, theoretically, though, when you look at this, if Oklahoma, Georgia, and, say, Michigan all 3 lose and the rest went out, are you really going to throw LSU at number 4 above a Washington State team that won the Pac-12 or a Central Florida team that's been undefeated 2 years or an Ohio State team that if they were to win out and Michigan loses, I mean, would have a win over the number 4 ranked team in the country? To me, it makes no sense. There's no way they could get in. If they get in, I don't even know if I could come up with a scenario where I think they would deserve it, unless just mass chaos breaks out and like 9 teams.
Everybody above them loses.
Yeah, and even if everybody above them loses, you still got Washington
Alabama's
State.
Still going in.
Yeah, Alabama's still going no matter what. Clemson, I think, is going no matter what, because when you talk about analytics, we talked about it yesterday, Notre Dame's got better quality wins than Clemson or Alabama. I mean, they've got a win over number 4 Michigan on there. So I don't see how they can say this is analytics, because if it's analytics, I just don't see how that computes. I mean, I don't know what the strength of schedule says, but it just makes no sense to me.
Well, I mean, I look down here. I mean, what happens to Ohio State if they beat Michigan and then win the Big Ten tournament? Do they bump up that far enough and still get in?
I don't see how you can bump them up that far.
I mean, Michigan, if Michigan loses to Ohio State, then Michigan drops out. So that creates a hole. But Michigan goes on to beat Northwestern and win the Big Ten. Well, do they jump up to number 4?
They might, because you never know what the hell they're going to do.
Okay. Now look at Washington State. What does Washington State have to do to get in? They're going to win the Pac-10. Well, they actually have to play Washington, which is a big rival game. And Washington is ranked, aren't they?
No, not anymore. Everything's falling apart.
They're not? I still have them on. I think I have number 16 is what I have it, but that could be.
Well, they might be. They're not ranked at a.
Yeah, they're a ranked team. So I mean, yeah. So okay, so LSU, I don't know how they get in, no matter what.
I don't either.
Oklahoma,
if you're the 3rd or 4th, because somebody's going to win the SEC anyways. And I think I think Oklahoma is going to lose at West Virginia this week.
I know. That's a tough game. That's a very tough game for them to go play there. Georgia, they're playing Alabama in the championship game, correct?
Yes.
So one of those two teams is going to get knocked out. So I think one of those two out of the way.
If Georgia was to win by 3 points, don't be surprised if Alabama's still in.
I think Alabama's in no matter what. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Michigan.
Unless they lose to Auburn, but it's at Alabama, and then they lose to Georgia. If they do that, then they wouldn't be able to justify it.
Right. But I don't think they're going to do both.
No. Chances
so,
are they're not.
Now, I mean, what is UCF's chances? Do they even have a chance now?
If you get
they moved it ahead of Ohio State.
Well, I would say the best chance there is maybe Michigan loses to Ohio State loses to Northwestern, Oklahoma loses to West Virginia, Washington State loses to whoever they would play in the Pac-12 championship game, which I think at this moment would be Utah, which Utah plays a tough schedule. They're a top 20 team. Utah could beat Washington State, so that is possible. But, I mean, that's a lot of things that you need to have happen for this to be able to play out for UCF.
Right.
And
so right now, I think the destiny is in the hands of the 4 teams. They all 4 control their own destiny. All they have to do is win. If those 4 teams, I don't see anybody doing anything. I mean, Georgia, if Michigan wins out, I don't think Georgia's going to move ahead of Michigan, but they could because they'd have to beat Alabama to do it.
Yeah, which then you've got Alabama and Georgia in it, and maybe it'll give us an SEC semifinal. That would be awesome.
Yeah. And the other thing we talked about yesterday was we all thought that possibly Notre Dame should be ranked ahead of Clemson based on strength of schedule.
Yeah, and I just Clemson, I don't know, because I look at the strength of schedule rankings, and they'll have like LSU number 2, or they'll have Alabama number 6. There's no way Alabama plays the 6th toughest schedule in the country. I don't know how they get that. I know it's some kind of analytic thing, and my guess is that analytic thing probably favors the SEC. And you got a bunch of mediocre teams like Mississippi State and them. And see, people forget it. Jacks up Mississippi State, LSU, all those guys, when they play Alabama, it jacks up their strength of schedule. So when they're playing Alabama, LSU plays Alabama, Georgia, all in the same year, LSU. So, I think it's skewed the strength of schedule there. And I still come back to the fact that Notre Dame beat Michigan. Michigan's ranked number 4. I don't think Notre Dame gets enough respect here.
No, I don't either. But you know what? It really, to me, based on the way the rankings are sitting right now, whether Notre Dame's number 2 or number 3, you know what only matters there is whether they wear home jerseys or away jerseys.
Yeah.
Because they're still going to play Clemson one way or another. I mean, it doesn't matter. So it just decides who gets to be called the home team. So as long as they don't fall to 4 and have to play Alabama in the first game, I don't, at this point, when I did the analytics on it, I don't really care if they're 2 or 3. Like I said, the only thing that's going to matter if they're wearing blue jerseys or white jerseys.
Yeah, and you look at this, a perfect example of the SEC bias is Mississippi State. They're 7-4. So is Northwestern. But Northwestern, I think, has won like 7 of their last 8 games. And Northwestern is only 1 spot ahead of Syracuse. It just got beat by Notre Dame 36-3. I think Northwestern, the way they're playing, should be a top 15 team right now. And I know a lot of people are going to say that's crazy because they're 7-4. But is it our goal in the end of this season to have the best 25 teams at the end of the season ranked 1 through 25? And a lot of times I think that there's other reasons for it. You look at the University of Kentucky. They're number 15. I've watched Kentucky and Northwestern play over the last few weeks. Kentucky was really good at the start of the season, and then they've fallen apart. And I think what you've done lately should have a huge impact on this. And I know there's people out there saying, well, if it's what you've done lately, Alabama's beaten LSU. Notre Dame beat Michigan the first week of the season. But Notre Dame has also beaten Syracuse recently, which when you do a comparison with Clemson barely got by them. So overall, I think no matter what they do, when it's done by computers and everything else, even by computers and analytics, there is still stuff in here that bothers me, and it's why we need to have a 16-team tournament, I think. At least 8.
Yeah, I know. I think basically Michigan's the most at-risk team of the top 4 because they've got to go play Ohio State at Ohio State, then they've got to go play Northwestern in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
In Indianapolis. Then I really think all you've got left, truthfully to me, is Georgia, Washington State, and UCF. I think Oklahoma and LSU are out of it.
All right, and I think this, when you bring up Northwestern and what Fitzgerald's done there, I think Fitzgerald and Mike Leach should be the 2 guys that are battling out for the Coach of the Year this year, because I don't think anybody expected Washington State to be sitting number 8 here. And the reason, because I just got a Twitter message from a guy named Don who asked why I would want 16 over 8. And the reason for that is this simple. If you took the top 8 right now, Central Florida would still be left out.
Maybe not.
If you took
Maybe
the top
not
8,
top
Steve,
8.
They're number 9.
Well, yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah, but you still have 2 games to play.
Yeah, but with those 2 games to play, Steve, when you look at this,
you're right. Yes, you're right.
I mean,
you're right.
They're not going to drop Georgia below them with 2 losses, and one of them's to Alabama and the other's to LSU. You're just not going to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to keep them in there. The only chance that UCF has then is if Washington State drops. But if Ohio State beats Michigan, they're going to put Ohio State over Central Florida also. So I think the system is rigged. It's rigged to keep the fat cats fat and to keep the small guys happy with going to the freaking Tostitos Bowl or the Bahamas Bowl or the Poland Weed Eater Bowl. That used to be my favorite. Actually, it was called the Poland Weed Eater Independence Bowl. That's a big name. But I'm just glad that we didn't write articles back then, because we'd have done a preview about that. It wouldn't have all fit in a headline. So, yeah, I think this is just skewed to the big guys. They're not letting Central Florida in. I think it would take an act of God to get Central Florida in this thing right now. And it's a shame, because you should be rewarded for 2 back-to-back undefeated seasons with, losing players to the NFL, losing your head coach to Nebraska. At some point, they need a chance, but I don't think we're ever going to see that.
Nope. There's just too many. It's kind of like the Titanic, and I used to watch stuff on the Titanic documentary. So they said there were like 14 stupid things that had to happen in a row for that boat to sink. If one of the 14 doesn't happen, that boat doesn't sink. There's about 9 stupid things that have to happen for UCF to get in the top 4. And all 9 of them have to happen. If any one of them doesn't happen, they don't get there.
All right. So we are going to
the ugliest question here is, would they take LSU over UCF if both teams won out?
They might.
They might, yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me. So tomorrow.
Interesting.
Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, so we get our typical Lions and Cowboys teams, double headers, which I'm sick of, Steve. I know it's tradition.
Well, there's a night game, too. Who's playing
tonight?
There's
a night game. We'll get to the night game, too. It's the Falcons-Saints, which is probably going to be a blowout, too, but at least we get to watch Drew Brees, Julio Jones, and them. The Chicago Bears will be facing the Detroit Lions at Ford Field in Detroit. Chicago, of course, is 7-3 atop the NFC North. The Detroit Lions are 4-6, and since they're in the NFC, they're probably basically done at that record. The Bears are favored by 4. When we look at this game, the Lions usually come up and play big on this day. The thing that worries me here is rookie running back Kerryon Johnson won't play Thursday because of a knee injury. I think that absence is a huge blow to an offense that needs to generate a rushing attack to keep Chicago's fierce pass rush at bay. So this is going to fall on 3 guys, a 3-headed attack, I think, with Theo Reddick, Zach Zenner, and, of course, LeGarrette Blount. Blunt's only averaging 2.3 yards per carry here. The Bears' defense has been a juggernaut. You got Jordan Howard running the ball. Trubisky's been kind of hit or miss. But when I look at this game, Steve, I think this has Bears by double figures written all over it.
I don't know if double figures because they're playing in Detroit, but it's got Bears written all over it. They'll cover the spread.
All right.
Yeah.
And also, I believe early in the year, like our first or second show where I said the Bears could possibly win the NFC North, I think you mocked me.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. I just wanted to bring that up. I wanted to bring up the fact that when you mock me, you're almost always wrong.
I know. You're still living on Michigan and Villanova. So.
And the Cleveland Golden State pick you made, that was really bad.
Yeah, that was a bad one too. So
Yeah.
I'm done.
All right.
I'm done making picks against you. I can't win.
So
Yeah, I think the Bears win that game. They're just a better equipped team. Their defense is too strong. Stafford's all over the place. You know, I mean, Detroit's shown flashes of brilliance or good play. They're just inconsistent as all get out.
all right, the next game at 4:30 on Thanksgiving Day, of course, is in Dallas because that's where the game always is. The resurgent Dallas Cowboys aim for their third straight win when they host the first-place Washington Redskins. Dallas is only a game out of Washington or out of first place now. Washington 6-4. Redskins lost not only the game, but their starting quarterback Alex Smith last week with a broken tibula, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
This is a huge game.
Fibula.
I mean, the Redskins.
It's a big game. Yeah,
you got
to play.
Colt
this game
McCoy.
is all.
Colt McCoy is taking over. Dallas is a 7.5-point favorite. What's your take here? Is this a done deal because of the backup quarterback, or are you more like me? I think this game's still maybe kind of a toss-up.
I think it's a done deal. I think Dallas walks in this game.
See, I would think that, but I remember like 3 or 4 weeks ago, they played a Monday night game against Tennessee where we all thought that. And the problem with the Cowboys has been this. As soon as you think that they've gotten over the hump and they're going to turn it on and win the NFC East, all of a sudden a game like Tennessee happens. And that's why I give them a chance here.
Well, yeah, there's always a chance, but I think if I'm looking at it on paper and looking at what the implications are, they're playing at Dallas, they're playing, down there. They're getting Washington's got a new quarterback. That's going to throw their timing off enough. It's going to put a little more pressure on Adrian Peterson, most likely. How much can he hold up? I mean, I just got to say the bet is on Dallas. The outcome is, because it's Dallas, is unknown. But if I'm going to bet, I'm going to bet on Dallas to cover the spread.
See, now I wouldn't. This is why I wouldn't. I think Dallas will win the game, but I think Washington has one of the best defenses in the NFL. They rank 5th, giving up less than 20 points per game. McCoy has started 25 career games. He's not a new guy. In his previous 4 starts with the Redskins, he's completed 69% of his passes with 6 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions. Moreover, and this is the big stat I found, not that I'm looking to bet the game because I actually don't do that because
I don't do it either.
Same reason I don't pay the lottery, because if people could make a living off of it, it wouldn't exist. But Dallas has failed to cover its past 7 Thanksgiving Day NFL games, including 4 outright losses. So when I look at this, I think Dallas wins this game like 20-17, but it would not surprise me if the Redskins jump up and get this game, just because this is what the Cowboys have been known for over the last few years. I mean, as soon as you think they've got it going, they don't.
Yeah, you're right. But just coming off a 3-game winning streak, I think maybe a little different for the timing, maybe in their favor this year, because they're riding a 3-game winning streak. They were looking better every game. They've got a dangling carrot in front of them to get in first place in that division and put themselves in position to control their own destiny, and get into the playoffs. I'm just feeling this is the best game of the afternoon and evening, no doubt. It's the one everybody will want to watch. But I'm going to go with Dallas on this one.
Well, it's the only game with 2 teams playing for something. All the other ones have 1.
Right.
And entering Week 12, the New Orleans Saints are 9-1, sitting comfortably atop the NFC South, while the Atlanta Falcons are out of the playoff picture as the projected 10 seed in the conference as of right now. Atlanta is going to have an uphill battle against this New Orleans team, which hasn't lost since Week 1 when they lost 48-40 to a little Fitzmagic in Tampa Bay. They rank 1st in the NFL, averaging 37.8 points a game. This is a game that I think even if the spread was 17 points, I may take it, because Drew Brees, I think right now, and we're going to have this discussion on the show tomorrow, I think he's the MVP of the season. He's completed 76.9% of his passes, 25 touchdowns, 1 interception. And the big thing is they've got Ingram and Kamara in the backfield. I think the defense is not great, but I think it's better than what people give it credit for. I think New Orleans wins this game something like 45-17.
Yeah, I think the big thing for New Orleans right now is just don't get anybody hurt. That's all they need to be concerned with right now. Keep everybody
you want
healthy.
to keep that number one seed because you're
yeah.
Still
well,
battling,
yeah. Well, I mean, they want to win the game. Sure, they're going to win the game, but you just want to make sure you're not putting their star players at risk. I mean, once you get up on get control of this game, get your people out of there, and
but they won't.
Just don't get.
I mean, because for some reason,
I know.
I was going to bring this up to you because I got a buddy who lives down here in beautiful Rising Sun, Indiana. Yes, he lives in a trailer park just like I do. That's where we met, was at the trailer park. We married sisters. I'm just kidding, our own. But when we went down here, he's always calling me, and he's like, it's 41-7, and Drew Brees is throwing a touchdown pass. Why do NFL teams do this? Most NFL teams don't ever take out their starting quarterbacks. And it just blows my mind. It was like when the Bengals were losing to the Saints 51-7 at the start of the fourth quarter. I mean, they did put Jeff Driscoll in for the last 8 minutes of the game, but they still had Andy Dalton in the game. And Drew Brees was still in the game at that point for the Saints. And to me, this seems ludicrous why NFL coaches won't pull their quarterbacks at a blowout.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I mean, the only thing I can think of, but I think the performance clauses in contracts, maybe they have a deal worked out where, hey, I don't get pulled in those kinds of games because I got to make performance clauses for bonuses, based on number of downs I play, minutes I play. There's every contract like that for those guys has performance clauses in it generally. But I don't know. Yeah, I've always wondered that too. But NFL is notorious for that. They won't pull people.
And it's just stupid. It was like, you remember a few years back where, for some reason, Bill Belichick played his starters for the first half in the last game of the season, and he lost Wes Welker. And it very well could have cost them another Super Bowl right there.
Yeah.
But, all right, so now we're going to do something special, and it's just for Steve. Today we're going to talk about golf, guys. And Friday, for some reason, there's a pay-per-view match with Tiger Woods taking on Phil Mickelson. So my question to you, Steve, is this. It's only $20. Is this good for golf or bad for golf? That's the first question. I'll go to the next question after you answer that question.
I think it'll get a lot of viewers. I'll probably end up watching it for $20. I wasn't going to do it if it was $40 or $50, but for $20, I'll probably go ahead and watch it. Just curious to see what it is. But it's going to be more of a comedy thing. It's going to be more of a buddy round of golf than it is a real competitive thing. First off, they're not putting up their own money for the $9 million. They are going to make side bets on their own. Like I saw one blurb on the news this morning where Mickelson comes out and says, I'm going to bet you $100,000 I birdie the first hole. And so Tiger looks at him and says, so you telling me you're going to birdie the first hole? And Phil says, yeah, you want the bet for $100,000? And Tiger looked at him and said, well, let's make it $200,000. And then Phil kind of, so you're going to get more of that. It's going to be entertainment.
Do you think any of this is real money, or do you think this is money they're being given?
Well, they're claiming that the side wagering is their own money. They're claiming that, but they're donating all the side bet money to charity. So it's a tax write-off one way or another, and all of them have got the time to start thinking about tax write-offs by the end of the year anyway. So their accountants are saying, hey, go blow, $5 million or $20 million. You got to write it up in taxes anyway. That's what I think.
I'm not a big golf fan, but if they'd have done this 10 years ago, they could have made a ton of money.
Well, that's the knock. If they'd done it 10 years ago when both were on their peak, this thing has all the makings for a blowout disaster because, A, Tiger's not a good match player generally, and Phil is so inconsistent in how he plays, you could virtually see a total runaway.
Yeah, and if you get a total runaway, this could be over an hour format, so, couldn't it?
It would take more than an hour. 2 hours probably, because they'd have to get through at least 10 holes to declare a winner. It'd have to be, 9 or 10 and 8 would be what you'd have to do to win if Tiger or somebody won the first 10 holes.
Now, my biggest question to this is
but
this.
It's also not likely they get to 18 holes.
Okay,
so you're probably not going to see 18 holes of golf.
Since this is a special event, will they be using golf carts?
No, I don't think
they will. Then I refuse to watch. I've already told you, it's stupid to walk an entire golf course when God gave you carts. So I'm still against this. If they're drinking beer and they're driving golf carts, I'm in. But without that,
they're going to be mic'd up, so you'll get the banter back and forth with each other. You'll hear them, and see, it's more set up for entertainment. I'm curious to watch this because there's nothing else really on.
The thing that bothers me is USA Today says nothing like this has ever happened. But, because it says here, but an event like this has never happened and will never take place. Picture LeBron James
that's not really true.
Playing one-on-one. Now, number one,
you
had Billie Jean King and that one dude. But
Bobby
also,
Riggs.
See if you remember this. When they both retired, and I think this was in the early to mid-'90s, there was a pay-per-view event where Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played Dr. J one-on-one.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that, but I don't remember that very well. But this whole format was done earlier in the 60s with Player, Nicklaus, and Palmer. It was called Big Three Golf, and it was just a barnstorming tour.
It wasn't just one-on-one. The Skins game would have been – what was the Skins game? I remember that from the mid-'80s. I didn't really watch it. But wasn't that kind of similar?
Yeah. Similar. It's 4 players, and they played for the hole. And, then if you hear a hole 2 tied, they all tied them but carried over. So, it's a total entertainment made-for-TV thing. Don't expect much.
Yeah. Well, if you want to see Kareem against Dr. J, you can find it on YouTube at Clash of the Legends.
I'm sure you can. And I don't want to see it. So
why? It's hysterical. I think they did it in 1992, and it was pretty much a one-sided butt whooping. Because
there you go.
Kareem basically just backed into the basket the entire game, and he just turned around and shot a sky hook, and it was a blowout.
Yeah.
But people actually paid for it. But I can't remember. Nobody remembers it. Actually, I can.
I don't remember it. I mean, I vaguely remember it, but I never watched it.
I didn't watch it either because I live in the trailer park I lived in with my parents in the early 90s. I mean, we didn't have cable.
Yeah.
Actually, what we had hillbillies who would act out like Gone with the Wind outside of our window, and we had a fairly large window. It was like 8 by 10, and we would watch the Gone with the Wind that way.
There you go.
See, Steve, you don't even want to have any fun today. You're just sitting there all bored.
I'm thinking about turkey dinner.
So, who fixes the turkey, you or your wife?
My wife cooks the turkey.
So, how does she fix the turkey? Because I got nothing else to talk about.
I don't know. I mean, you want to go over the Duke Auburn game or Duke Gonza games coming up here real soon?
Gonza game? Who's Gonza?
Gonzaga.
Gonzaga. There you go. We can if you want, because do you think Gonzaga has a chance?
No, I don't.
Okay. Then why did you want to talk about it?
Okay. Well, I mean, their starting forward's still out. Killian Tilly's still out. They're missing one of their better players. I don't know much about Gonzaga. Other than they're ranked number 3, I've not seen them play.
You didn't watch them last night? They played Arizona last night, and I watched about 10 minutes of it. And 10 minutes I saw, they looked really good, even without that guy.
Yeah.
And I think this. I think you're nuts. I think Gonzaga wins this game.
Okay.
Well, see, you won't even argue with me when I try to.
I don't know enough to argue with you. I've not got into college basketball
I
yet.
can tell you this.
During the season.
I can tell you this. When I look at it, what I see is this. Gonzaga has a really experienced team, and a lot of these guys played an NCAA championship game 2 years ago, and Duke is young. And I know they've blown out Kentucky, and they handled Auburn decently last night. But I think the way Duke plays, I think people are going to catch on to and be able to prepare for them better. And I think Mark Few is a great basketball coach. I think he's good in tournament situations. So's Mike Krzyzewski. So I think this is going to be a great game either way. I think these are the 2 best teams in the country right now.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, I believe that. Yeah, I'd not seen either team play, so to sit here and have a legitimate debate over who's going to win the game would be pointless because I just would be reading off what I'm reading on Fan-Sided Sports right now. Just giving me their lowdown on the game, and they think that Duke's going to handle them. So,
unless Arizona's really bad, because it was actually a close game when I turned it on last night, and like within 3 minutes, Gonzaga's on like a 12-0 run. I turned the game off because I don't even know what the final score was, but just the 3 or 4 minutes I watched, Gonzaga looked like they knew what they were doing, and I think they're one of the few teams that can give Duke a game right now. The question is, can Indiana give Duke a game next Tuesday night at Cameron?
I think that Indiana can give them a game. I don't think, they need rest. I think Indiana needs the rest, and they've got to play another game Friday. And, I think what Indiana needs to do, they got to get healthy and rest between now and when they play Duke next, was it Tuesday or Wednesday?
It's Tuesday night at 9:30, I believe.
Tuesday night, yeah. So they've got to, Indiana's got to get some rest. They got to get some players healthy, or they'll get annihilated. If they take the 7 same guys they played with last night, they have no chance.
Well, I think if you've got Romeo Langford and you got Juwan Morgan, you got 2 guys that are able to take the game over. And I think especially Juwan Morgan has to impose his will on that game. I just don't know if he's as good as the guys that Duke has.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't. I'm not going in with any legitimate hope that Indiana's going to win the game. I hope they win the game, but legitimately, I don't think this is a chance.
Hey, but if Mike Davis beat him in 2002, Archie Miller can beat him this year.
Sure, it could happen, but I mean, this is the ACC Big Ten matchup. Cameron Indoor Arena will be nuts crazy. It'll be it's Dickie V will be there. I mean, it's got all the hype.
Man, Dickie V's going to be there. That ruins it, doesn't it?
I'm sure he will.
Isn't he dead yet? I mean, when you hear him
No.
in games, he's terrible. Well, he's worse than he used to be.
Well, he's been around.
To be annoying.
He's been around 10 seasons too long. So I'm just going to watch the game and enjoy the game at 5 o'clock when it comes on today and just see what happens. We'll have a better understanding of who's good in college basketball if we watch this game, but I just think right now we haven't seen enough of either team play. And Duke hasn't really been challenged to any degree. They only won by 6 last night, but I don't know how much they were really challenged.
Well, I think that game was relatively close all the way through because I kept an eye on the score. I didn't get to watch it because we were doing the IU basketball show, but the game seemed like it was almost always within 10 points. And Auburn's a really good team, I think. I think it'll be between them, Tennessee, and Kentucky probably in the SEC. So I think it's a good win for Duke. It's on the road, and they've got a young team, so this is kind of everything's a new experience for them. But that's why I give Gonzaga a legit shot this afternoon to win that game. Of course, the game's almost in morning for you since it's at 5 o'clock Eastern time.
Yeah, it actually comes on at 2 o'clock here, which is in 3 hours. So.
Yeah, but all right, Steve, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I want to remind people that tonight we will have the CFL Grey Cup preview show with four-time Grey Cup champion Robert Drummond, myself and Brian Schmidt. And also tonight, after that show, we'll have the NFL Pick'em show. So make sure you check all those shows out. You can follow us at Grilling Truth on Twitter. So we're going to wrap it up from here. We'll be back tomorrow with a special Thanksgiving edition, which will be looking at who me and Steve think should be the MVP, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year so far through 11 weeks of the NFL season. So make sure you check us out tomorrow. That show will actually be up in the morning around 9:30 or 10 if everything goes well. So we're going to wrap this up. I want to remind everybody you can hear all of our shows on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher. Wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.